What I'm about to share with you is yet another good sign for silver's future for this year. Let's discuss it as we explore. Forecasts and predictions are not always correct, obviously. But nonetheless, there's a lot of people that feel that silver has got some room to grow this year, and I'm one of those. But there's some more professionals that believe that as well. Usually when we hear predictions and forecasts from some of the larger banking institutions, we kind of take them with a great amount of skepticism. There might be some motivation behind it. Is it a PSYOP campaign, for instance? But nonetheless, I think we should take it seriously because there are precious metal and market analysts out there that aggregate a lot of data to come up with some of these forecasts. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're more right than they think. So I take them very seriously. And Kitco is reporting on one such forecast that has been revised in a somewhat dramatic way to the tune of $2 increase in their forecast for this year. But the baseline is where the catch is on this. Before we get to that, I want to remind you of channel sponsor and a special deal for my viewers only. If you enter the code Summit Salivate Summer for $10 off of orders above $500 until July 31st. So that's coming up in just a few days. In fact, by the time you see this video, it might be tomorrow or today. So if it's in your budget and you got $500 to spend or more, you'll get free shipping as well as save $10 off of your order from Summit Metals. So check it out. By the way, they have some very competitive prices on fractional gold eagles right now. They've been one of the leaders of the lower prices for gold fractional eagles. So gold has managed to hold solid resistance, speaking of gold, above that $3,300 an ounce line. But it is struggling right now to attract new bullish momentum. Yeah, we've seen some sporadic movements from day to day where those spike up $50 or here or there. But this is essentially happening as U.S. trade agreements with Japan and Europe have eased trade war concerns. Now, there's not a final deal yet with the European Union, but the framework is in place. While gold may be trading sideways, there's still some value in the broader precious metals market. And I am also still bullish on gold too. Due to easing geopolitical tensions, commodity analyst at Commerce Bank said that gold will likely remain range-bound until the Federal Reserve provides guidance on future rate cuts. I don't think we're going to see anything like that until September. And we won't, I guess we'll see very, very soon, if not already by the time you see this video, their decision to leave rates unchanged, which is what I think they're going to do. But geopolitical tensions may not be easing too much in areas like Ukraine and Russia. I think that's really the only area that it's really unbeknownst. There was some hot spots that were started to form, but Trump has kind of worked to put those fires out between Cambodia and Thailand, for instance. But these comments came as the U.S. Central Bank kicks off its two-day monetary policy meeting. Markets expect the Federal Reserve to maintain its neutral policy stance, but analysts at the German bank, Commerce Bank, noted that any dovish signals could be supportive for gold. And so, in other words, even though they'll leave rates unchanged, if there's talk that, we're probably going to be doing that, we're going to be cutting rates, and likely they're forecasting it to come in September, if there's any more reinforcement of that kind of to that end, of that decision to that end, then likely we'll see the precious metals spike up a little bit. Maybe not a whole lot. But regarding the timing, the Federal Reserve meeting could provide some new clues. By the time you watch this video, that meeting will be underway and maybe even done. If the central bankers signal an imminent rate cut, despite ongoing inflation risk, the gold price is likely to benefit, according to Thu Lan Nguyen, head of FX and commodity research, said in a note recently. While the gold market may be stuck in neutral, Commerce Bank still sees potential for silver, platinum, and even palladium. And I would say we can mention rhodium too, because it's really done well. It has exploded in price in the last couple of days here. We're talking about the tune of a 9% increase in 2 days. That's dramatic. While the gold market still is sort of in this neutral territory, and that's all the other metals likely will shine. The analysts raised their price forecast recently for the second half of the year. The German bank now expects silver's prices to end the year at $39 an ounce, up from their previous estimate of $37 an ounce. Well, we blew past that. We're at least as I record this video, it is above $38. And that is a pretty big move. In other words, they think it's going to hold on. It's a very conservative estimate there, because remember, we did touch $39 twice. And we very well could visit that again before the end of the year. In some ways, their target here was after it already reached there. So they're thinking that it's going to creep back up to that by the end of the year. Now, my revised forecast, is that this was my third revised forecast, was for $41 by the end of the year. Is that overly bullish? I don't know. Many of you believe it's going to go to 42 or higher. Some of you have been saying $50 by the end of the year. We'll see. I'm not that bullish, but we'll see how that plays out. Nonetheless, one thing is for sure, silver has been shining this year. An over 40% increase since the beginning of the year. That's well above inflation. And really, many of us feel it's just playing catch up at this point. And it's got a long ways to go to catch up with the gold to silver ratio where it is now in the 80s. So at the same time, analysts see platinum ending the year at $13.50 an ounce, which is up from $12.50. It's above that now too. Palladium is expected to rise and finish the year at $1,200 an ounce, so they've revised their forecast for that. So we therefore consider the majority of the recent price increases for the three precious metals, that's platinum, palladium, and silver, to be sustainable, as it has reduced the previously significant undervaluation relative to gold. The gold to silver ratio stands at over 86, only slightly above its long-term average. Well, if you count what some people say is the 10-year average, that's 80 to 1, is still well above it, I think. The same can be said about the price ratio between gold and platinum, according to Karsten Fritsch, commodity analyst, has noted. While Commerce Bank remains bullish on silver and PGMs, Fritsch also emphasized that higher gold prices remain key to broader sector performance. Silver does typically follow gold when it goes up or down, even in some cases more dramatically. From now on, silver and platinum prices are likely to move largely in line with the price of gold. Palladium prices are likely to perform somewhat weaker due to less favorable fundamentals, he said. Now, I think I agree with a lot of this analysis, but here's where I differ from it. I believe that silver could outperform that expectation of $39 again before the end of the year. Because if these trade deals really cement themselves in to be a good thing, especially the European Union one, because remember, China is the second largest economy and by nation, but the second largest economy overall is the European Union. In other words, it's behind, or maybe even ahead of the United States. I'm not sure, but collectively, the European Union nations, it's a bigger deal. So if we can get that tied down and solidified and everything kind of normalizes and the markets readjust according to tariffs and the like, this could mean more demand for silver industrially. It means that there's going to be pressure on the COMEX and LBMA. That's going to cause the prices to go up. And that could happen later in the early fall. We could see that occur. As soon as that, maybe even through the end of the year, maybe into next, where we see good economic conditions and a higher demand for silver causing the price to spike and go up and climb above that $40 an ounce. I could definitely see that happening. That's a natural market force. Then you have to factor in what's going on with some of the lease rates that have been discussed recently and the amount of silver that's in the COMEX and LBMA. They're still under stress. We'll see what those numbers come out for July And that could have a big impact on silver's price, which is why I am still bullish on $41 silver by the end of the year. And all bets may be off the table if there is an actual crisis that occurs, big time crisis, the LBMA and COMEX. We'll cover it here on this channel because that's what I do. And I appreciate each one of you for taking the time to watch this video. And I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to all of you for taking the time to watch, and appreciate the Silver Slayer viewers who have come by. And thanks again to Silver Slayer for mentioning this channel in his video again. And with that being said, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.